I know you are in front of this voice, and the voice comes out of my mouth, and I have absolutely no idea what it's gonna say. I'm in this position where I'm totally at the mercy of whatever happens. But I know one thing for sure. Every word I say takes the form of sound waves, and those waves enter your brain right now, and they preoccupy your brain, keep you busy, so you have something to listen to, just words, that roll out of my mouth effortlessly. And you might be fascinated by the fact that the words just come and that I don't say very much, just words, but still you are listening to them. And the words keep you occupied, your brain is busy processing all those words and feeling something of a meaning out of it and getting a feeling, whatever. But then there's a kind of transmission, you can say. There's in the background, just below the frequency of what you actually hear, there's another type of transmission. And normally you close off for those kind of transmissions, but if I preoccupy your mind, if you keep you busy with this Bible, with this little babbling, this little chatting and hanging around, this just sitting around and listening to this voice that just doesn't say very much at all, that you are listening to right now, that keeps your mind preoccupied with questions. What is this all about? What is he talking about? What does he want to do? You know what I mean? And while you are listening, while I keep you busy with absolutely nothing, with just words that don't mean anything, that don't go anywhere, there's a different type of radiation. There's some kind of other story below it. Oh no, it's not subliminal or something like that. Oh no, it has nothing to do with that. Even if I don't speak the words with all the might that I, even when the words don't really make much sense anymore, and even if sometimes the system gives up and it becomes difficult to even utter the right words, and if I now, but you can barely understand what I say, then even still that transmission goes on, it is something that I really have to do in the background, so sometimes it's very difficult to concentrate on what I'm actually saying, so I just let the words go and they don't mean much, but at the same time I'm putting all my effort, all my power, everything I have, into this other transmission that goes deep into your cells, and your cells are very intelligent beings, you know what I mean? When you started, when you were actually fabricated, when your father and your mother did it with each other, when they made love, there was only one little cell, and your father bombarded one little cell with millions of his cells. But that one little cell was you know what I mean? This little egg, everything was in it. Everything that you are right now was in that cell. And when you came out of your mother, you didn't think at all. You were some ancient being, you know what I mean, from the Stone Age, even older, nothing different. You came out exactly the way they came out thousands of years ago, and you didn't think. You weren't a thinking being, not at all, They could have put you somewhere in the forest, and some wolf would bring you up, and you would have never learned how to think. everything you know, you have learned. You have not one original thought of yourself. It's some trick that you learned, that was taught to you. Your parents told you how to do it, and now you're stuck with it. Now it goes on. The thinking goes on. The babbling goes on. All the time, day and night, this voice goes on and on and on. And it tells you things you don't even want to hear. You get upset by the things that you feel in your head, you know, and you give it substance. It's not something you let go as a kind of babble that goes like water flowing or clouds or whatever, you know, something that changes and passes through. No, you take it serious. Every thought in your mind, you go at it and you give it substance, and you get upset and you think, oh my God, why do I think this? Oh my God, I should do something about this. Oh, I'm terrible. Yes, I'm laughing because I'm nervous, and you are listening right now. I am telling this story a long time ago, but right now you are listening. Time and space don't exist. Perhaps you think it's silly, but there's a very good reason why I tell you. I have to tell you this. And you are listening right now. Your ears wide open. And my voice will enter deeply into your brain. Just when we traveled all the way to the south, a country I hadn't been before, everything completely different, completely disorganized in my vision. And she had been sitting in the back of the car. I was sitting close to her, and my brother and my sister too, all in the back seat, and my parents in front, all the way to the south. She was very old and very quiet, and she watched the landscape, and she looked out of the window, and then we stopped in this wonderful field, and I helped her out of the car, and we walked into the grass, and she stood up erect, and then she had this wonderful look. She looked me into the eyes, and she gave me this little plant that she picked. She didn't even look, but it was a 4-leaf clover. I was baffled. I took it like it was gold. And I looked at her eyes, and she looked back, and her eyes were very much alive. And then something broke. Very slowly she fell into the soft grass. And there was something very beautiful in my body. I stood there for a long time, watching her laying down so slowly, and then I called my parents, and they were in panic. She was dead. She had died in front of my eyes, and I didn't even feel any grief, just this little 4-leaf clover that she gave me. And of course we could not bury her here, we could not leave her here, we didn't know anything here, we didn't speak the language, so we put her in the back of the car. I was sitting next to her, and my father drove like a maniac, and I very slowly felt her body cool off, getting colder and colder. It was late in the evening, we drove the entire night, and early in the morning everybody was totally tired. And we needed some coffee, and we got out and we walked in this place. We did not have much time. We had our coffee very quickly. We came back, and the car was gone, was stolen, and we never found her back. And it was only last week when I got my little cassette recorder and this little microphone that I got a message that we discovered the cemetery where she had been buried. It was in the south. It was a place where there were a lot of violence, murders. It's very difficult to tell you this, but anyway, I went to the cemetery and I didn't even bother if it was the real grave, but I felt this must be it, and I had my little dried 4-leaf clover in my hands. It was getting late in the evening, and I saw how there was somebody buried there. It was a woman. She was pregnant, and she died just before she got her kid, and everybody was crying, and everybody left, and I was all alone, and I was talking to her, and it was getting dark, and then those 4 people came as shadows, as black shadows. They had lights, and they went to that fresh grave, and they dug it up, and they opened the coffin, and one said, "Give me the knife." And I saw it in front of my eyes. It was behind the grave. I could see everything. And they cut her open, and the kids came out, and they cut off the little arm, and the arms they hold into their hands, and it was shining. It gave light, and then they saw me, and I ran away. I have never in my life run so fast. I heard them in the back, and they were not shooting or so, and they came closer and closer, and then he was standing over me with his very short baby arm. I was vomiting, and he was saying something, and I fell asleep.